Going to class is an important part of college life, but there's a lot of ways to learn important skills for your future career outside the classroom. Coming up, we'll show you how one opportunity is helping future public relations professionals get a head start on their portfolios.
The campus calendar has been packed with events as the fall semester crosses the halfway mark. We'll show you how students had an opportunity to celebrate a holiday from south of the border a little early, or stop by the sub and take away some cold hard cash.
Protests, peace negotiations, and the government shutdown are the hot topics in the political world this week. Madilyn Coyne has the details on those stories and what you need to know in the MCTV's Inside the Issues.
And the Texas Tech volleyball team headed to the home court last night for one of their most competitive games of the year. But could the Red Raider finally get into the Big 12 win column? MCTV's Logan Lacy has highlights from that game and a preview of this weekend's upcoming athletic action in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Camille Jones.
And I'm Elliott Welch. The fall semester is moving quickly, and there's only one more week of October remaining.
This time of year is often filled with seasonal activities, but there's also annual events that help Red Raiders learn about on-campus opportunities to gain important skills before graduating and starting their career. One of those options that can be found here in the College of Media and Communication is Raidercom. Raidercom is a student-run public relations agency. Yesterday afternoon, the group held an open house in MCOM Room 83. Students were invited to enjoy free pizza while they learned more about the organization. Attendees were given information about how they could get more involved by joining the student-led public relations firm and how the organization could be an asset to students' portfolios. Each semester, Raidercom takes on real-world clients and then creates a PR campaign to help companies and organizations promote themselves using public relations strategies and skills. The group is actively looking for new students, and the open house offers an easy option for potential members to learn how they can be part of the team.
Yeah, I hope that they just feel how welcome they are and how excited that we are to meet them. I hope that they know that all their skills are valuable and every type of student is wanted and needed in Raidercom, and there's not an ideal candidate, and we just want you to be here and feel welcome.
Raidercom is open to all media and communication majors. To get involved, interested students can enroll in a 4th credit service learning elective course during the fall and spring semesters. For more information on how to enroll, you can talk to your advisor and search for Raidercom on Facebook or Instagram.
The countdown to Halloween is just over a week away. The spooky spirit is starting to take over the Lubbock area, and with that in mind, one department here on campus decided to celebrate another holiday with supernatural roots a little early. This past Sunday, the museum at Texas Tech held its yearly Dia de los Muertos event for the Lubbock community and student body. Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, is a traditional holiday in Mexico and other Latin American countries to celebrate and remember loved ones who passed away. The museum has been holding the annual event to commemorate the holiday here in the hub city for around 15 years. The event featured Texas Tech and Coronado High School mariachi bands and Lubbock High School's ballet folklorico dancers performing live for the hundreds in attendance. A community ofrenda, which is closely related to the holiday, was also on display where people in attendance could put pictures or names of loved ones on an altar to remember them. Mary Robles, an education intern at the museum, says the event is not only a fun option for students and local residents, but it also helps raise awareness of the museum and all it has to offer.
We have a really big Hispanic population, so I think that it's a great way to kind of connect the university to that community and bring them to the museum, because a lot of people don't know that we have a museum, so it's a good way to kind of combine all those interests and just celebrate our loved ones and remember them.
Robles says the event continues to be a big attraction for the museum, welcoming everyone to celebrate the tradition. But Sunday's event was just a preview of the annual holiday. The actual Dia de los Muertos celebration is observed at the beginning of November.
If you passed through the sub near the campus store last week, you may have felt like you walked on the set of a TV game show. And just like a real game show, participants walked away with prizes. Last Wednesday, the Student Activities Board hosted an interactive event in the Student Union building, a trivia competition called Quiz Time. The event invited students to put their knowledge to the test through multiple rounds of trivia. For each round they won, participants received a $5 cash prize. Students who kept their winning streak alive could earn up to $40 by scoring the highest for 4 rounds in a row. The event gave students a chance to come together for a fun and engaging midweek activity while also offering an incentive to keep things competitive. Lola Gomez, SAB's daytime coordinator, says the group hosts creative events like quiz time throughout the semester to promote campus involvement and student connection.
Our mission is to provide free social, spirit, and service events for students to get involved on and off campus, and we just like bringing things out to students.
Quiz time was only available for a limited time, with the event running from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. last Wednesday. But if you missed out on your chance for some free fun, there's still plenty of events left on SAB's fall calendar. For more information on all of the upcoming events between now and winter break, visit sab.ttu.edu and click on the Fall 2025 Activity Calendar link.
If you've been up early the last couple of mornings, you've probably noticed a big difference in temperatures from last week, or even Monday. Lows have fallen into the 40s every night since the beginning of the week, and that was after setting a new daily record of 94 degrees at the Lubbock airport on Monday afternoon.
Temperatures have topped the weather headlines through most of October, but there's another change in conditions that could affect your plans from now until the weekend. Weather specialist Elisabeth Herring joins us now with a look at what's on the way in today's MCTV forecast. Elizabeth?
Yeah, well, it's been a cloudier day today, and those clouds still hanging on even this afternoon. We've had a cloudy overnight as well, and there's been quite a bit of rain around the Lubbock area. So if you're north of Lubbock, you might have run into some showers as well. And for here, us locally at Texas Tech in Lubbock, we do have some rain chances coming up later tonight around midnight. Some storms moving throughout the Lubbock area and other parts of the South Plains, continuing with some spotty showers and heavy clouds as we head into Friday afternoon. And then hanging around with those spotty showers, chances of some light precipitation throughout Saturday morning as well. Hanging on with those clouds, and then clouds moving out Saturday afternoon just in time for the 3 o'clock home football game. We actually are under a slight risk for severe weather here locally in Lubbock, but everyone in the South Plains under some sort of risk for severe weather. And tornadoes and large hail are possible, but if we do see any severe weather, most likely going to be looking at high winds and heavy rain as well. Tomorrow, still severe weather outlook for most of the South Plains area, still marginal risk here for most of Lubbock, slight risk off the Cap Rock. Tonight, lows pretty mild from what we've been seeing. We've been seeing lows in the 40s the past couple of nights, but lows in the 50s and 60s across the South Plains tonight off the Cap Rock on those upper 60s. And then tomorrow, we're going to be slightly cooler than we were today, highs in the 70s across the area. Tonight here locally in Lubbock, low of 62. Again, thunderstorms later tonight, early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, warming up to 76. Chances for some spotty showers, so might want to head out the door with an umbrella or light rain jacket. Taking a look at our weekend, Saturday, high of 71. Sunday, back in the 80s, 83. Starting off our week pretty similar from Sunday, high of 81, and then cooling off significantly Tuesday and Wednesday, highs in the 60s. Thursday, high of 72. Lows in the 40s next week, and we could possibly even see lows in the upper 30s middle to later next week. Saturday is a home football game. It's also Parents' Weekend, and looking like it's going to be a nice game. Start of the game, 68 degrees. Halftime, 71. End of game, 69. So overall, pretty nice weather. Luckily, that rain moving out just in time. You might want to bring a light sweater or jacket, though, with you to the game. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to y'all.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Political news has been getting most of the attention in national headlines this week. From protests coast to coast to potential peace in parts of the Middle East and the fallout from the continuing government shutdown, there's a lot going on.
Madilyn Coyne joins us today to help sort out all the details in today's edition of MCTV's Inside the Issues. Madilyn?
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to Inside the Issues. I'm Madilyn Coyne. In today's segment, we're taking a look at what's making headlines both here at home and around the world, from nationwide protests to international peace talks and another week of gridlock in Washington. Across the country, this weekend, thousands gathered for demonstrations known as the No Kings protest. No Kings is a coordinated movement opposing what organizers call a growing concentration of political power under the Trump administration. From New York to Los Angeles, protesters carried anti-Trump signs, yelled chants, and some even dressed in inflatable costumes to stand out. In major cities, marches stretched for blocks, and law enforcement described most protests as peaceful, with only minor incidents reported nationwide. Here in Lubbock, a smaller group took to downtown Saturday afternoon, joining the national movement with their own local protest. Protesters gathered on the west side of Avenue K near 14th Street, just outside the Citizens Tower. Around 250 people assembled throughout the afternoon, many holding handmade signs and waving banners that read, "No Kings, No Fascist." The crowd chanted together, while others played drums to keep the rhythm. Passing drivers frequently honked, waved, and shouted from their cars as the group filled the block with sound. One of the protest organizers explained why she helped out with the rally.
I decided to help organize this event because I wanted to see everyone in Lubbock come together as one big coalition.
Across the street, a smaller group of counter-protesters stood on the east side of Avenue K, waving American flags and holding signs in support of the current administration, and others that stated, "Jesus is the only king."
So I wanted to come out here not necessarily as a pro-Trump movement, but as a Christ is King counter-protest.
Lubbock police officers stayed nearby to monitor the scene, but both sides kept their distance, and the event remained peaceful throughout the afternoon. Turning overseas, cautious optimism is building as a new ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas takes effect in the Middle East. Earlier this month, the Trump administration announced what it's calling the Trump Declaration for Enduring Peace and Prosperity, a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. The deal, signed in Egypt on October 13th, aims to end months of deadly conflict in Gaza and establish a framework for rebuilding the region.
We're going to be signing a document that's going to spell out a lot of rules and regulations and lots of other things, and it's very comprehensive, but we've already signed documents in the Middle East and having to do with Israel and Hamas and just about everything else, and it's really working out.
Following the signing, U.S. officials reported that the ceasefire was holding across most of Gaza, but warned that significant challenges remain, particularly regarding how Hamas will be disarmed, the coordination of humanitarian aid, and the establishment of a temporary governing body to oversee reconstruction. Over the weekend, the ceasefire was briefly tested after both sides blamed each other for isolated strikes near the Gaza border. The clashes subsided within hours, and international observers later confirmed the truce remains in effect. On Tuesday, Vice President J.D. Vance visited Israel, calling the truce better than expected so far, while emphasizing that its long-term success will depend on continued cooperation between Israeli and Palestinian leaders. Officials say the next phase will focus on rebuilding Gaza and maintaining regional stability. The outcome of those talks will determine how lasting this ceasefire truly becomes. For now, optimism remains cautious. The ceasefire may hold, but the heavy lifting still lies ahead. In Washington, the government shutdown is now stretching past 3 weeks, and frustration is mounting across both parties. On Tuesday, negotiations on Capitol Hill failed once again after the Senate was unable to advance a short-term funding measure. The White House says nearly 850,000 federal employees are now off the job and working without pay. At a lunch with Senate Republicans at the White House, Senate Minority Whip John Thune urged Democrats to get wise and join efforts to reopen the government, while Republicans stood firm against proposals linking government funding to health care policy changes. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer continued to push for a meeting with President Donald Trump before he leaves for a trip to Asia later this week. Trump has previously stated that he won't meet with Schumer until the government reopens, which could now happen after his potentially weeks-long trip. President Trump maintains he won't sign any bill that doesn't include deeper budget cuts and additional border security funding, while Democrats accuse Republicans of using the shutdown for political leverage. For now, both sides insist they're negotiating, but Washington remains at a standstill. From local protests here in Lubbock to international diplomacy in the Middle East, and the ongoing fight over funding in Washington, we'll continue tracking these stories and how they shape our communities and country here on Inside the Issues. I'm Madilyn Coyne, and back to y'all.
Thanks, Madilyn. Back here on campus, Texas Tech Athletics is gearing up for another big weekend of action as two teams return to their home turf.
But one team already kicked off this week's schedule in a nail-biting matchup last night. MCTV's Logan Lacy joins us now in studio with a look at that game and the upcoming weekend schedule in sports. Logan?
Thank you, Elliott and Camille. Texas Tech volleyball had a fun matchup last night as Red Raider soccer and football gear up for a jam-packed weekend, and basketball has some big expectations for the upcoming season. We'll start with Tech volleyball. The Red Raiders played Colorado on Wednesday at the United Supermarkets Arena, trying to find their first win in conference. The first set of the match started out pretty even with teams tied at 8-8, but Colorado soon took a 4-point lead that Tech could not recover from, leading to the Buffaloes taking set 1. Set 2 started pretty similar with both squads tied at 17, but this time the Red Raiders were able to pull away and take the second set to tie the game. The third set started out with Tech taking a quick 5-point lead that Colorado could not chop down as Tech took the lead and won 2 sets in the conference game for the first time this season. Colorado began the fourth set fast and furious with their own 4-point lead. Tech eventually came back, but Colorado later built up that lead to tie the game back at 2-2. Heading to the fifth and final set, in Tech's first fifth set in conference play, both teams looked pretty even, going back and forth with Tech looking to win after taking a 3-point lead late in the set. But Colorado was able to come back and avoid the upset, leaving the Red Raiders heartbroken. Texas Tech volleyball's record sits at 8-12 overall and 0-8 in the Big 12. The search for their first conference win continues as the Red Raiders play another match this Saturday in Orlando against UCF at noon. The game will be broadcast live on ESPN+. Texas Tech soccer will head to Colorado tonight and play host to Kansas State Wildcats this weekend as they hope to continue their dominant run. The Red Raiders jumped to number 3 in the Top Drawer Soccer poll and number 5 in the United Soccer Coaches poll after some big road wins this past weekend. Tech beat Arizona State 3-2 with the game winner coming with 5 minutes left, followed by a lot smoother victory over the University of Arizona 2-0. Taylor Jajeski scored 3 goals over the weekend, bringing her season total to a team-leading 13. The Red Raiders will be back on the road tonight in one of their toughest tests of the season against a Colorado team who is ranked number 7 in the country. They also play a good Kansas State team Sunday at the John Walker Soccer Complex. Texas Tech record going to Boulder, Colorado is 12-1-2 overall and 6-0-2 in the Big 12 as they sit at first in the conference. The game tonight will start at 8, and then the Red Raiders will be back in action Sunday against the Wildcats at 1. Both games will be streaming on ESPN+. Texas Tech men's basketball went to Big 12 Media Days yesterday in Kansas City and showed a lot of confidence in the season ahead. Preseason Big 12 Player of the Year JT Toppin says that he thinks the team can not only compete for a Big 12 title, but also the national championship.
To win it all, for real, really just like to step on and we're going to put our heads down and go through anybody we got to go through, for real. So really just being together, staying together, building that chemistry, and just knowing that we could do anything if we just stay together. So really just we're going to win it all.
The Red Raiders don't play their first game until November 4th, but they are already getting national praise with a number 10 ranking in the preseason AP poll. Red Raider football returns to the Jones Saturday, expecting to bounce back against a bad Oklahoma State squad. Texas Tech football is coming off of a heartbreaking loss to the reigning Big 12 champions, Arizona State. This was Tech's first loss of the hopeful season, dropping in conference standings and in the AP poll. Texas Tech quarterback Baron Morton is currently listed as questionable with an injury he got versus Kansas 2 weeks ago, causing him to be in an emergency role last week. The Red Raiders are hoping to find their winning ways again this weekend. Oklahoma State is 1-6 overall, and they have not won a conference game yet in 4 attempts. If you are going to the game, wear red and do not throw tortillas as they are now banned. Texas Tech football has a 6-1 record and a 3-1 conference record as they now sit at 14 in the AP poll. The game versus Oklahoma State will be Saturday at Jones AT&T Stadium at 3, but if you can't make it to the game, it will also be on ESPNU. That's all for Texas Tech Athletics. Now back to Elliott.
Thanks, Logan. As we mentioned during the show, the fall is moving fast. October is nearing an end, and that means the Thanksgiving break is just around the corner. If you're working on your plans for the break, but transportation is an issue, one department may have a solution to get you out of town. Every year, Texas Tech's Office of Parent and Family Relations partners with Break Shuttle to offer affordable round-trip options for students to travel to several popular destinations. The Thanksgiving bus trips are scheduled to make stops in Austin, Dallas, El Paso, Houston, and San Antonio over the break. Prices range from $150 for a one-way ticket to or from El Paso to $160 for Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, and $168 for Houston. All trips leave from the R11 parking lot behind the sub on Wednesday, November 26th, and each return trip will leave on Sunday, November 30th. Tickets are still available for all trips, and if you're interested, you can visit breakshuttle.com for more info.
So, Elliott, can you believe that Halloween is next week and Thanksgiving is only 5 weeks away?
This semester is seriously flying.
It really is.
Do you have a Halloween costume?
I do. I think I'm going to dress as Pearl from the movie Pearl.
That's
you?
Cool. I'm going with one of my boys as Ferris Bueller and Cameron.
Okay, that's going to be great. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.